Hello, Blackhawks Nation. Welcome to Blackhawks Daily, your favorite recap of the daily buzz around your Chicago Blackhawks. I'm your host, PJ. Thank you for tuning in. Again, during this very slow, dry off season, definitely not a lot going on. Today, we're not talking a lot about hockey, but we are going to be talking about things around hockey and Chicago, of course. We're trying to bring you whatever salient tidbits we can that we can find about your beloved Hawks. Keep the old puck withdrawals at bay until October 7th. Good news is hopefully next year the puck drop's going to be even earlier in the season. Season's going to be a little bit longer, so that's good news, at least, right? So let's get into the top four topics of today. So we're going to start off with a pretty crappy note. We have yet another in memoriam announcement. Of course, everyone has heard. We've seen a lot of these just this past week. But we're talking about, of course, the Chicago Cubs great Ryne Sandberg. So if you're from Chicago, if you grew up in this area in the 80s and 90s watching Chicago sports, even if you're anywhere around the country seeing WGN, there really was an embarrassment of riches that we had in this town. You know, Jordan, Peyton, Fisk, Chelios, Roenick, Sandberg, right? It was truly a magical time during those years where we seemed to have always one team, maybe even two teams, either at or almost at the summit of their sport, while the rest of the teams either were like contending, they were like doing well, showing a lot of promise. I kind of wish for those old sports days. Ryne Sandberg was one of the original GOATs, loved by fans, admired by teammates and opponents alike. Excuse me. And again, apologize for the medication, making my mouth look all weird. Super consistent, great bat, excellent defense, always dependable. He actually played his first year, 1 year with the Philadelphia Phillies, and then the rest of his career at the old friendly confines. He had been a perennial All-Star and a Golden Glove candidate for 10 straight years of being chosen an All-Star and 9 straight years of being a Golden Glove winner. He was inducted into the MLB Hall of Fame in 2005, and his number 23, a famous number in this town, was retired by the Cubs the same year. So he then eventually became the head coach of the Phillies for 3 seasons, not 3 full seasons, but for 3 seasons, during 3 seasons, before resigning in 2015, later becoming a goodwill ambassador for the Cubs. In January of last year, just in 2024, it was announced that he had metastatic prostate cancer, received really intensive treatment for it. In August, he was declared to be cancer-free, but back again, December 10th of last year, it was announced that it returned and spread to his other organs. He had passed in his home in Lake Bluff, and he was 65. So thank you for all the memories, Rhino. You will be missed, and you will also forever be remembered in all of our hearts. Whew. All right. Speaking of people dealing with cancer and other things like that, we had spoken about the Foligno brothers and their great work in the memory of their mother with the Janice Foligno Foundation. She had passed from breast cancer. The one thing, though, that we did not mention about Nick Foligno, the player, the captain on the Hawks, is that this is the last year of his contract. So will he be extended? We're not actually sure of this as of yet. But his importance on the team, especially a team with this youth throughout, cannot be understated. So last year in 78 games, he showcased his physical play style, as he always does. And he scored 15 goals and 20 assists. So there's no official word yet as to what will happen with him, but it seems as if instead of the ball being in his court, the puck is on his ice. He most likely can keep playing and contributing on a shorter term, yearly by yearly basis, or he can simply call it whenever he wishes to and hang up his skates on a very respectable career. He's had 597 points over 1,233 regular season games, and then chipping in another 27 points in 68 playoff games. Knowing Foligno, he's going to give it his best effort this year. He's always balls out. He's going to leave it all on the ice, and then he's going to make the decision on his next move then. So, of course, no matter what happens, I am sure Hawks fans are going to support him. Speaking of charitable work, right? The Folignos with the Janice Foligno Foundation. Another former Blackhawk player that simply continues to give back, and one that continues to inspire, is Brian Bickell. Now, if you remember, Bickell was 6'4", 223 pounds. He was a monstrous left winger. He played almost his entire career as a Blackhawk. He was on the team for all 3 Stanley Cups. He actually had his name engraved on the last 2 of the Cups. And then right after our last Stanley Cup win, he was traded. And then he played 11 games for the Carolina Hurricanes, and then he retired for health reasons. So in 2015, in that season, he started to get treated for vertigo. And then they thought it was concussions because he had gotten knocked out also during that season. And then finally, he got diagnosed correctly. He still has multiple sclerosis. So imagine what a blow that was. So Bickell overnight goes from this big, hulking, youthful man, full of everything in front of him, right? All-star, just name on a Stanley Cup, playing his dream, beautiful wife, beautiful family, just living it all, to being diagnosed with a disease that just doesn't have a cure. And so, he goes from this paragon of health and a hockey player to a player that has serious balance issues and these unexplained pains and all this other stuff. So he gets some treatment, he gets some great meds, he makes some progress. He's trying to make he tries to make a comeback, but then eventually in April of 2017, he calls it quits for good and decides to focus on a life with his family as an MS survivor. And actually, that's the right call, really. From there, he continued with his passion and love for helping one of his causes, which is pit bulls, right? He loves pit bulls. He loves helping put this breed of dog in a more positive light, and pushing his Chicago Love Pits campaign. But he and his wife also launched the Brian and Amanda Bickell Foundation, which also has the Brian and Amanda Bickell Foundation MS Retreat, which is really also known as Bickell's Point. It's a small group of cottages up in Canada on these beautiful lakes, where families dealing with the recent news of a multiple sclerosis diagnosis can go and get help with coping with this new life. So they've been working on these cottages for years. They started this, I think, in 2020. COVID, of course, put a huge wrench in the plans, but actually kind of turned out to be a blessing, allowed them to kind of get set and really plan this out, get some other people behind them, some designers and things like that. And they made some great strides very recently, finally breaking ground, putting up the framework of these cottages. And you can actually follow their construction on Instagram at Bickell Foundation, Bickell Foundation. You can also go to bickellfoundation.org to learn more. Although I will say that I think the Instagram seems to be a little more current. Just a great guy. We should support him as much as possible. He just continues to give back, and I just got nothing but mad respect for anyone who does that. And lastly, we got some really quick hot takes. Another repeat offender from a while ago. I do recognize the name, Fubar Totali, 3389. He says, I'm sick of these armchair geniuses, and I know hopefully he's not talking about me, because I'm not an armchair genius. I'm more of an armchair idiot, as I think many of you would agree with, who keep calling for KD, our GM, to be whacked. We're 3 years into the most complete teardown and rebuild that I'm aware of in professional sports history, the Hawks have one of, if not the strongest prospect pools in the league, and these players are just now reaching the big club. This confirms what I've come to believe in the last 10 years or so about this country. Common sense is becoming increasingly uncommon. Well, we did touch on this a little bit yesterday. There are some people who are just impatient with how long does this take. We're in the third year of this rebuild. You are right. We do have an excellent prospect pool. We do have one of the strongest ones. Also, the Sharks have one of the strongest ones as well. And also KD has a lot of, I think the majority of Hawks fans are pretty much behind him. I think it's still pretty positive. If I'm thinking, in letter grades, I still think he's average to, he's definitely has passing grades to positive grades behind him from the Hawks fan base. We are getting, I think we just want to see some progression, I think is what you're seeing, Fubar. I think that's what you're seeing come through. So, but your point is taken, sir. Audi S Obsessed also piped in a little bit, and he says, I might not agree or disagree with what you're saying, but at least he's making content regarding the Hawks. So there you go. We are talking about the Hawks. We're trying to. We got to keep them relevant somehow. Thank you for being a part of that and contributing. And that's it. That's a wrap for today, folks. Thank you for piping in. Thank you for your comments. Keep them coming. I really do appreciate it. Please keep tuning in every weekday. Get your Blackhawks Daily download. You can always, use these little tidbits, impress your friends and neighbors. You guys always know a ton. You always impress me as well. Your hockey knowledge is amazing. Your insights are fantastic. I love that. And I just love your passion, not only about the Hawks, but just about this wonderful sport in general and just about Chicago. Because, we live in the best city in the U.S., and really the best city in North America. And we have the best hockey team, even though they record-wise not so great, but they are the best hockey team, of course, because we're the fans. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Sincerely from the bottom of my heart. That does it for today. I'm PJ, and I'll see you next time on Blackhawks Daily.